What's good, my dudes? We're back in the saddle with another YouTube banger, and I'm going to be doing a new series on the strongest spells in every Prism. Spells don't get a lot of love in Skyweaver. Everybody loves units, everybody loves the attachments, and for good reason. But spells do have their rightful spot in Skyweaver, and I thought I'd show some love to these cards by doing a little series on it. So we're going to start with strength today. I'm going to talk about what the top 5 strongest spells are in strength. But little caveat, this only really applies to discovery. I'm a discovery player primarily, at least for now. And the stats that I'm going to be referring to are all for discovery, conquest. And the stats do come directly from Skyweaver, so they are somewhat reliable, I would hope. Anyway, so starting with strength, the number one, actually, let's go in reverse order. So the number 5 strongest spell in strength, according to Conquest Discovery win rates, is Burninade. Burninade, obviously strong for a lot of reasons, but not least of which is it comes basically with Scorch attached. So after you play the Burninade, you do get Scorch. Scorch has Wither. It can go face for an extra 2 damage. A lot of times can just win you the game, that alone. And of course, 4 damage to all units is a pretty decent board wipe. So yeah, never sad to have Burninade in your deck when you're playing Strength in Discovery. Number 4 is actually maybe a surprise to a lot of people. It's a card that requires a little bit of skill to play with, but if you can use it effectively, you can get a ton of value, and that's going to be On the Hunt. The reason On the Hunt is so strong is just because Banner is obviously one of the strongest traits, but this is such a value engine. You can play it over and over again, especially in the late game, just to draw a lot of cards. And in a Prism like Strength, where card draw is kind of hard to come by, On the Hunt really demands a premium. The third most, the third strongest in Strength is actually Elderfall. Elderfall is just a nice little Swiss Army knife, does a lot of different things. So it really helps that it can target the face, and it does have lifesteal. And yeah, it's cheap. It does 2 damage, 2 direct damage, and it even gives you an Elderwood on top of it, just for a little cherry on top. So this card kind of does everything, and it does it all at bargain prices. So for that reason, Elderfall does make the number 3 spot. Number 2 probably is not a surprise to many people, but it's another Swiss Army knife type of spell. It's going to be Sharkram, and yeah, it's another 2 damage to face if you want it with lifesteal, and it also gives you a nice little Firemander after you play it, which can really come in handy if you need to kill something with, let's say, 4 health. You know, you play the Sharkram on it, and then you play the Banner card, and you swing into it with your face, and you just kill the 4 health unit, which usually feels pretty good in Discovery. And last but not least, the number 1 strongest spell for Strength is going to be, you guessed it, it's Kaz Wrath, the big, most expensive spell in Strength. And it's expensive, but it is worth every penny. That's because it has both Wither and Lifesteal. It does 3 damage to enemies, and it dusts them. Just kind of the ultimate board wipe because it withers down units and it gives you lifesteal. So when you're really in the late game, you're down to just a few points of health. This can turn the tide and win you the game more often than not. So Kaz Wrath does actually make the number 1 spot, and it doesn't make it by a large margin. The difference in win rate between these top 5 cards is pretty marginal. So, and also I should mention, just as a little caveat, that these win rates are basically over the entire course of the stat keeping process. So this is ever since the beginning of soft launch. And sometimes they do shift back and forth, especially if any of the cards are adjusted during the balance patches. None of these have had any significant balance changes of late as far as I know, but they could in the future, and then this video will be completely irrelevant. So anyway, I guess that'll end the video. Hit the like button if you liked it, and hit subscribe, obviously, because I'm going to do a whole series on these, just quick little videos, strongest spells in each prism, so look out for those. Next up, I think, is probably going to be agility, so look out for that. Anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in, and until next time, peace out.